This is an interesting story. See which way you feel you're going to go on it. The family of a British property developer, a very rich man, he's been jailed in Dubai and his family is appealing to have him pardoned. Safi Qurashi was sentenced to 7 years in prison for bouncing 3 cheques, each one of them for millions of dollars. It's considered a criminal offence to do that. Dan Nolan reports now on a case that has advocates calling for legal reform.
The Qurashi children are perhaps the youngest Dubai residents wanting urgent reform to the United Arab Emirates bounce cheque laws. 11-year-old Sarah posted a YouTube video 3 months ago pleading for Dubai's ruler to ask a court to review the evidence that saw her father, Safi Qurashi, sentenced to 7 years in jail.
Please, can you help me get justice for my dad? Because I know he is innocent.
Now the campaign has switched to Qurashi's native England with a small demonstration outside the UAE embassy in London, his supporters pleading for him to be pardoned during the Eid holiday marking the end of Ramadan. Safi Qurashi, along with a business partner and financial controller from his Dubai property company, were all jailed in January after 3 security cheques worth $53 million bounced last year. His wife Huma says none of the cheques should have ever been cashed, claiming 2 of them had only 1 signature instead of the required 2, while a 3rd cheque was stolen.
My husband's company stopped that cheque and reported it stolen at one of the police stations. So all 3 cheques, all the cases that he's in for, he shouldn't be in there. He's innocent.
But banking law experts explain that in Dubai, judges are not always required to consider the intent or circumstances of such cases.
The judge will ask the defendant whether the cheque been issued by him or not, whether the signature on the cheque is it's his signature or not, and will issue the judgment.
That's all they need to prove.
Exactly.
Any loans issued by UAE banks require a blank security cheque for the total loan amount, including interest. If a borrower defaults on just 1 payment, the bank is allowed to cash the cheque, knowing it will bounce, causing a criminal offence that will probably lead to jail. Central bank figures show an 8% spike in defaults this year, with nearly 5,000 cheques bouncing every day. Dubai's police chief accuses local banks of engaging in irresponsible lending, using security cheques as an artificial safety net for their loans. He and many other top Emirati legal experts believe bounced cheques should be pursued in civil rather than criminal courts. Safi Qurashi's family say they're left with only one option after unsuccessfully trying to have his case heard by a new real estate committee set up in the wake of the financial crisis to deal directly with cheque-related cases.
We're pleading for an Eid pardon, not because they're guilty, but because they are innocent and they should be at home. And my husband should be at home with his children.
With thousands of others also in UAE jails over bounced cheques, advocacy groups say the need for legal reform is urgent. Dan Nolan, Al Jazeera, Dubai.
OK, let's talk via broadband from the UK by Radha Stirling, founder of an advocacy group called Detained in Dubai. Thanks for joining us on this news hour. Mr. Qurashi boasted in Hello magazine that his was a rags to riches story. At the end of the day, when you know the laws of a country and you go out there and make a fortune or lose a fortune, you've got to abide by local rules. So what is it that means he should be let out of prison?
The amounting evidence and the powerful evidence that shows that there were circumstances surrounding these cheques that meant it wasn't a cut and dry, straightforward case that we're talking about here. This is someone who was innocent, and a business transaction, has been incorrectly managed. But because of the court system there, the checks and the circumstances haven't been taken into account. This person has been sentenced to 7 years because of that. It should have been heard by the real estate authority, but it was heard in the general court, which was an inappropriate forum.
You see, what I'm saying,
convict someone of his state.
What I'm saying, Ms. Sterling, is that there are a great many expats in trouble in countries like this. Everybody's gone there for different reasons, but mostly it is to try and make some money. You say you deal with rich and poor who are in trouble, but it's only the rich who seem to get on television. Where's the justice there?
justice in getting on television. I hope that the people who do have the connections, the capabilities and the support groups to get on television are assisting in the representation of all people who have been detained wrongfully, and that the exposure here will lead to law reforms and the review of many cases.
But you know that's highly unlikely, isn't it? Because those people who've set up these groups that want to support husbands, brothers, whoever, who are in jail, really don't care very much about the poor Nepalese worker who's gone foul of the law and is going to spend the next 3 years in prison. That's not how it works, is it? I mean, how much work do you do for those sort of people?
I would say that the majority of the people that we deal with directly are poor and cannot afford any legal representation at all. But I would also say that the people who can afford legal representation end up often wasting a lot of money on the representation that can't get them anywhere, because the court system is very unfair and unjust in that sense. So justice is not available to rich or poor, I'm finding, and it's making no difference to the outcome, whether someone has a lot of money or doesn't have a lot of money. US
State Department seems to agree with you and a lot of people that the judicial system in the UAE is slightly skewed. So where do you think the pressure for change will come from within or without?
I think it will come with time. I think that, as I've explained before in other interviews, that the country has really grown to an amazing standard, and it's very attractive to international investors. But unfortunately, legal systems in all countries around the world take a long time to catch up to that sort of expansion. And I think it's a matter of time and the raising of awareness throughout the world that it needs to be done that will hopefully lead to some money being put into it, and certainly hiring of experts to review all the processes and procedures to make it an attractive place for investors who have been deterred from investing as a result of cases like Safi Qurashi and numerous others that I speak to on a daily basis.
Thanks for talking to us, Radha Stirling. Good to have you on the programme.